Hey, what's up, you guys? This is gonna be a little bit of a somber video, but kind of fun. As you can see, I disabled the voice acting and the music, so I could speak to you on the sad but expected passing of Stan Lee. Um, Stan Lee was a hero to us all, and I know it does sound cheesy when I say this, but I remember watching the first Tobey Maguire movie, not to mention um, reading the first Spider-Man comics written by Stan Lee and illustrated by Steve Ditko, and I just remember having so much fun with a lot of things with what Stan Lee created, and having a pure blast with how talented the man was. And he did live a long life. He died at the age of 95, I do believe. And all I do have to say is that, well, what is there to say about Stan Lee? He was a man of great talent. Did he have his moments? Yes. He made mistakes like all of us, but in a lot of ways, he was like the grandfather a lot of people never had, or in some cases, depending on how old you were, the father you never had. And it just goes to show you, no matter who you are, whether you're a celebrity like Stan Lee, or maybe a parent like my father, who died the same year that Stan Lee died, it, this life isn't permanent. So you gotta take what you have with a grain of salt, because life, believe it or not, is not like a video game or a video where you could just rewind things. Stan Lee was one of those people who did the best with what he was given, with his abilities as a writer, as a storyteller, and as a human being himself. He he once said that Spider-Man is one of the best heroes ever, because he wasn't like Batman. He wasn't like Superman. He was a kid with extraordinary powers, but he had a lot of adult responsibilities. Like Peter Parker got his spider powers at a critical time where, you know, a boy had to become a man. Like, for example, he once said that I related to Spider-Man more because Spider-Man would always struggle with his rent, would always struggle with relationships, and I would struggle with those as well. I'm quoting him roughly. That's pretty much what he said. And what was really inspiring about him was just how relatable he could make Spider-Man. And I don't think he ever lost his ways. I mean, you really listen to the guy in interviews, he just seems as humble as he was when he created Spider-Man in 1962. And honestly, I really do think that his talents can never really truly be matched. Because and I could be a cynic here, a lot of us have lost our a lot of celebrities have kind of lost their ways with storytelling, especially with Spider-Man nowadays. It's completely different than what it was when it first started out. And if I would just reference this one thing, this comic book by the name of One More Day, where Peter Parker sells his soul to the devil, which is in itself is kind of cheesy and stupid. The reason why people didn't really like it that much is because it really wasn't Spider-Man. He would not just kind of abandon his adult life just to be a kid one more time. That's just not really Spider-Man's way. And that's something that a lot of modern day Spider-Man writers lack a lot. And also, when Spider-Man gets like $1 million and becomes another version of Tony Stark, a snarky, sarcastic superhero with $1 billion, which has been done before with Tony Stark, like I said. And honestly, a lot of modern day writers portray Spider-Man as what he's not. He's not the billionaire. He's just the regular average Joe if he got powers. That's what Spider-Man is, and that's how, Stan Lee understood him as to be. Okay? Because when somebody makes a superhero or a super being, it's either a hit or a miss. And what makes it a hit or a miss is what makes it a hit is if you put a lot of your own struggles into that superhero. I really truly believe that there will be no other Stan Lee, and that's both a good and a bad thing, because it makes us appreciate what Stan Lee gave us, what he gave us with Spider-Man, what he gave us with the Incredible Hulk, what he gave us with Iron Man, because he was a guy who took risks. Like with Iron Man, Iron Man was a billionaire industrialist of the 1960s, and in the 1960s, a lot of people did not like a lot of billionaires or just industrialist, or well, not industrialist. I do believe he was a weapons manufacturer. They did not like they did not like the war. They didn't like billionaires because it represented the man or the higher power. And Stan Lee quoted, I'm quoting Stan Lee, by the way, he said, I wanted to make a character like Iron Man. He was talking about Iron Man, where no one liked, but I would shove it down their throats so they would like it. You see, a lot of writers nowadays would just play it safe, or just play the same old formula, or just write something that no one likes, and they would just keep on writing it and writing it. And he did care about his fans, because at one point he was the guy who was down on his luck. Like, for example, Peter Parker. I cannot state that enough, how unique a character as Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man, is, because it's just it's just a groundbreaking character. I mean, now it's been done to death, but a lot of people do it to death because, well, Stan Lee was the originator for it, and that's something to really be admired, because he knew the struggles. He knew the struggles of Peter Parker. He knew what it took. He knew a lot of things about what made a great superhero, and he knew what to make. He put the man in Spider-Man, and that has something to be admired. Stan Lee, you will forever be missed. We love you, and rest in peace.